welcome to that one time we read manga podcast where we four friends decided to start reading manga together, coming here and talking about it. My name is Tim, and fun fact about me today, I want to open a seafaring restaurant for funsies.
My name is Duncan, and my fun fact for today is that I'm going to be the bartender on that seafaring restaurant.
If you can pass the interview.
You gotta pass the interview. Alright, hey everybody, my name is John, and my fun fact is my dogs get seasick on boats.
Gross.
My name's Nate, and my fun fact is if pufferfish is ever served on that, I will never eat it.
Bad news, we only serve pufferfish.
And
You
pufferfish
get-
themed cocktails.
You get pufferfish or water. Those are your only options.
That's a real risky
and we're out
business.
of water.
That's a risky
Oh,
business model.
God.
I know, it's going to pay off.
High risk,
hopefully.
high reward.
High risk, high reward. I'll make everyone sign an insurance form or sign a fake will that gives everything to me when they die.
Yeah.
Because I don't know anyone who can prepare pufferfish.
You're
Japanese.
the restaurant's gonna be Last Will and Testament, is what it's called.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, if you can't tell from that, we read chapters 42 to 68, which in One Piece, which covers a seafaring restaurant called the Barati restaurant. And I love the idea of a seafaring restaurant because it's such a genius idea of, like, what is one thing everybody needs when they're out at sea? Food.
Water.
Fresh food. I mean, I'm sure they have water at the restaurant too, but like food is the main point, especially because of the backstory of the guy who opened it. It's so fucking cool. So yeah, we read through. We're continuing our trudge through One Piece, and it's going, I think, pretty well, gentlemen. What did we think about this little arc? We met a new crew member. We lost a crew member. We got introduced to a lot more of the world of One Piece that Oda is setting up.
I just want to say it feels a lot less of a trudge than some of the other things that we've read. I have quite been enjoying One Piece.
I say trudge is just like we're getting through it. You know what I mean? Not like we're forcing our way through it, but we're slowly but surely getting there.
Yes, not like other mangas, which will remain nameless.
Yeah. That shall not be named in this episode, as to not besmirch the good name of One Piece.
Precisely.
Yeah. So give me some first impressions, guys. Like I said, a lot happened in this arc.
Well, John and I were right. We got to cook.
Yeah, we did get a cook.
Oh,
Nate
no,
started.
we
didn't get a
definitely...
nuclear physicist.
Oh, come on. We definitely got a nuclear physicist. No, I like Sanji.
We're getting there.
Yeah, Sanji is so fucking.
Yeah, Sanji's a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with this arc, and I feel like I'm going to end up being a broken record because, Tim, you've been recommending this for so long, and there's probably a good reason why. So I want to intentionally try and find bad things about the arcs, but for the most part, I didn't really have anything bad on this one. Like, like the action was entertaining, never got old. And I mean, shit, like they're like the levels of seriousness just kind of keep on going up, which is expected with a shonen. But I mean, there was some emotional, grippy feel times, and then there was some just really
grippy.
Cool. I think grippy, kind of it like grips at you, and then you feel things in your feeling box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My no square.
Yeah, in the no square, which we
no-no
don't
square.
explore the
We
feeling
don't touch
box.
it. Yeah.
No.
Don't go near it.
I had a great time with it though.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, no, I definitely remember saying to you guys after we were talking about Buggy that, the stakes are just going to keep getting higher as the villains get more powerful.
Steaks.
Yes.
They don't have steaks at the seafaring restaurant.
I was just saying, it's mostly seafood if you're like, come on. Where are you going to get a cow? Sea cow, but...
Oh, the sea cow.
Back to business models though, like that's a great idea when you think about it.
It really is.
You're bringing in, you're importing a minimal amount of supplies because you literally live in. It's like working on a limitless farm, having a restaurant on a limitless farm, And you don't have to raise the shit. You don't have to raise the cows.
We didn't really see it, but I'm pretty sure they have like trade set up with people of like whatever islands they're near. Like I'm sure they go ashore, pick up like spices and stuff and supplies, and then come back but they just catch fish all day.
I'm sure you have to have hush puppies. You have to have what's that restaurant called with the biscuits?
The Red Lobster.
Red Lobster. Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta have Red Lobster biscuits.
Cheddar Bay biscuits.
You gotta have a salad. Yeah.
I changed my fun fact from earlier. I used to work at Red Lobster.
I remember when you did that.
Bad times.
When you did that. Yeah, bad times. You were in the trenches. That was funny. So, real quick, I didn't mean to like talk over anyone, but like Nate, Duncan, what were some first impressions from you guys going into this?
I had a hard time following those two bounty hunters that they picked up. That was probably my least favorite part of this arc, was that they just kind of felt inserted without any real purpose.
Yeah, they were given, I think, a little bit more, I'm going to call it screen time, but page time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, otherwise, great. I loved all the action, like John said. The art is still beautiful. All the characters still have importance of some sort, but there wasn't a whole lot of who was it? We lost Nami and Usopp at one point, and they were just gone for like 20 chapters. They didn't even make a single appearance.
Well, and we know why Nami didn't, but Usopp was supposedly dealing with that. You know what I mean? Like I will say Oda definitely does a really nice job of like, these characters aren't needed, so they're off doing their own thing. Like something's happening that we're not seeing that the other characters are dealing with, and it's eventually explored, or if it's not explored in depth, it's a one-off. It's like a throwaway line of just like, oh yeah, we were doing this. Like,
yeah. I mean, I like that it's explained. It's not just kind of empty space for the reader to interpret, because that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense.
I actually have written in my notes, God damn it, Nami.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Everyone's least favorite character, Nami, proves herself to be everyone's least favorite character.
Everyone's?
Everyone's.
Except John.
Especially John.
That's what I was thinking.
Your woman betrayed us. If we were a pirate crew, we would keelhaul you for her betrayal.
If I know a thing or two about manga, she'll be back.
I mean, yeah, they have to get their shit back. So we're definitely going to see her again, but, I mean, is it going to be on good terms? Who knows?
Well,
gotta get the Mary back.
Yes, it will.
Yeah, gotta get the Mary back.
Love the Mary.
So,
yeah, Mary's...
big takeaway that I have here is I think he's doing a great job of showing that Luffy's tenacity is extremely contagious. Like, whenever he was mid-fight, and then he would do something that, like, everyone would get really hyped about, I even found myself reading and going, yeah! And, like, it's fantastic.
Hell yeah!
It was like, it was like when you watch Dragon Ball or something, and you're just cheering. But yeah, it's definitely contagious, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, you find yourself getting just like, you're getting, there's your hook. You want your main characters to succeed, and when they do, you're like, yes. It's an elevating feeling, and I think that's what makes One Piece so good. Is just like these characters, while maybe not 100% relatable, you definitely are on their side, no matter what. You're at least on Luffy's side, no matter what.
Yeah.
At least I find myself being on Luffy's side no matter what. Like, there's never a point where I'm like, oh, I hope Luffy doesn't make it. Like, that just doesn't ever.
The stretchy bastard.
The stretchy bastard. And he's always coming up with new ways to do his thing. I read
stretching his heart right into our lives.
That son of a bitch. I did read a snippet from an interview with Oda, and he was saying how he, like, I think the question was something of like, or do you get tired when people draw Luffy doing, do you get tired when people draw Luffy doing his powers or anything like that? It was kind of a weird question, and maybe it was just a mistranslated question, but the answer I feel like is legitimate, which is Oda saying, like, I genuinely forget all the things Luffy can do, so I appreciate the fans reminding me of what he can do. And it's very, I mean, that's pretty accurate because your whole body's made of rubber. There's a lot of things you can't do. Or there's not a lot of things you can't do if your whole body's made of rubber. I mean, twisting Krieg up, twisting his legs up and then grabbing him by the head with his feet and spinning him around.
Gum gavel.
Slamming him into the ship. Yeah.
Yeah, the gavel was dope.
Fucking wild.
And then he hit him with the fishnet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't he hit Gum axe or guillotine on the Barati ship itself to give Krieg less room to board?
I think it was battle axe. Yeah.
Yeah, battle axe. Yeah. That's what it was.
Yeah, battle axe was fun.
Yeah, it's so. I just love seeing the inventiveness of Oda, i.e. Luffy. Through Luffy showing off the creativity of it, and it makes sense. Like, I would forget too. After so long. We're over 1,000 chapters in this manga, or the manga is over 1,000 chapters. We're not.
We're not.
We're not.
We're not even a tenth of the way through yet.
Not yet. We will be. We will be.
Yeah, very soon.
Very soon. So, real quick, like I said, we got introduced to a lot. Sanji was introduced, who is one of my favorite Straw Hats. Just because of his character, like his power, he doesn't really have. He doesn't have any powers. We saw that, but he's strong, like kind of weirdly strong compared to everybody else that he worked with. And you're kind of like, how did that happen? It's never explained, I don't think, of why he's so strong. He's tenacious as all hell. He survived starvation
for 80 days.
For 80 days, which is, I mean, not. Depending on who you ask, these natural medicine people seem to think that's possible.
Granted, he had 5 days of full rations, which you could stretch out into like 2 weeks, and he had fresh water. So,
no matter which way you look at it, he went over 50 days without food. Like, no matter how far you stretch that shit, you went over 50 days with no food.
He's basically Super Jesus, if you think about it.
Yeah, and it just makes what Chef Zeph, the head chef Zeph, did even more impressive. Who
with his leg.
gave Sanji all the food and kept only the treasure and resorted to eating his own leg out of survival, which is like, how many days do you think he waited? If they were stranded for 80 days, how long would it take you guys?
I honestly don't think I have the constitution to be able to do that. I mean, maybe, but like, I don't think I have it in me.
You would starve to death before you ate your own limb?
I can't say. I haven't starved to death recently.
I think after 2 weeks, you would have to start doing something, right?
If you're planning to survive, yeah, you have to do something.
Well,
but if you're like John and are just going to accept a slow death, then...
I mean, I'm actually going to side with John here, though, because I know for a fact if you wait long enough and then you try to eat your own limb, you've lost the fat that you need to survive. So you kind of just hasten your death.
You're just eating skin.
But exactly. And I didn't even think about that. But if you eat it too early, then you don't have enough to sustain.
Yep.
So it's a perfect, like a true chef, Zeph knew exactly the right time to procure it.
While we're on the topic of Zeph, though, I really like how this shows Red Shoe Zeph coming back from the Grand Line holds a lot of weight, and they literally, they really drive it home that the Grand Line is an awful place. And
yeah, that's the whole reason Krieg is at the restaurant too. They're coming back from the Grand Line decimated.
Yeah, so yeah, I do like how much weight that held.
Yes, yeah, I agree. And actually, I'm glad you brought it up because Krieg coming back from the Grand Line completely destroyed, and you're thinking like, wow, he had an armada, and even someone without any military knowledge at all can imagine armada is like a big deal. Like that's a lot of people under your command, right? That's a lot. Basically, it's an army. Basically, it's an army at sea. So you're like, wow, his armada got destroyed in the Grand Line. I wonder how that happened. And then all of a sudden, we get introduced to another one of my most favorite characters in the entire series, Dracule Mihawk, Hawkeye Mihawk, comes sailing up in like a canoe, and just standing there, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's him!" And you're like, "I wonder, okay, what's so scary about him?" And they're like, "Yeah, he destroyed our armada single-handedly." And you're immediately like, "Oh shit, what's this guy's whole deal?"
Yeah, and he's just on like some little raft.
Yeah, he's in like a canoe. And he's holding the sword. His sword is like the coolest thing in the world to me. Like, it's a giant cross. Like, the handle and then the hilt make it look like a giant cross on his back. So it's perfectly stationed right behind his head, so it looks like he has like a giant cross. You know, he's like Jesus, like
Super Jesus.
Yeah, some kind of religious figure. I don't know if that was intentional, but like just the design of his sword is so cool. If you look up the Drakiel Mihawk like wiki, under powers, it just names his sword. His sword is his power. The greatest swordsman in the world. Zoro's ambition is to beat him. And after seeing what he does to the Dawn Creek pirates, you're kind of like, wow, how's anyone gonna beat him? Well, Zoro tries. God love him. And it doesn't go too well for him.
No, he gets mollywopped pretty hard. But so
like super hard, yeah.
My biggest thing was, and I'm always gonna kind of read into things a little bit too much, but like at first I was thinking like when they talked about his sword and like what he did with all the ships, I was like, all right, so he's a swordman that has a big sword. That's about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, that doesn't really make a great swordsman. So then he like, it's not the sword, and from my point of view, like it's not the sword. Like the sword is a big weapon, but like he defended himself with what was it? Like a little dagger, just a knife.
His necklace was a little dagger. He just pulled it out of the hilt and started fucking around with Zoro. It was just like, I'm not gonna use the big boy on you yet. I'm gonna see what you can do.
Yeah, which foreshadows something probably way on in the future. But I mean, yeah, I mean, he was able to do that with just his little dagger. He was able to defend his own and then put Zoro into the ground several times. Yeah, and I thought that a lot of the fights throughout the rest of the arc were a lot of fun. But I'm finding myself increasingly attached to Zoro. And I'm really enjoying those fights, but I thought that one was the most fun to watch. Like, because for a moment, I actually thought that Zoro was going to do the shonen pro tag type of thing where he somehow overcomes this ridiculous power gap. But I thought it was good that he
believes in himself hard enough that he wins against an enemy that he clearly
Through
has
the
no
power
business
of
beating.
friendship.
Yeah, the power of friendship, the power of believing in yourself, but no, he got fucked.
And it's just another thing that shows that the Grand Line is crazy, because like even his little shonen powers had no chance against Grand Line.
Exactly. Mihawk came from the Grand Line to chase down the Creek pirates. That just is like, what in the world is happening?
And why? Just for fun?
Well,
like,
I mean, yeah. Did they talk about the station that Drakiel Mihawk holds? Did they give him? Was that brought up at all?
If they did, I don't remember.
I don't
know
remember.
if anybody else does.
Does the words 7 Warlords of the Sea mean anything to you guys?
I mean, it sounds very like a thing that would exist. So I'm not. I don't know if if I remember it or not.
I
believe that gets explored a little bit in the following chapters.
Okay. Well, I already said it, so I might as well just explain it. There is a faction called the 7 Warlords of the Sea, of which Drakiel Mihawk is one. One of 7. So, and the power will make more sense a little bit later on as to like the station like what that means. But just know he's one of the Warlords of the Sea. He's not to be like fucked with. Like that title is supposed to mean like you're not allowed to fuck with me because I can murder you in an instant.
Is that like the Elite Four in Pokemon?
It's if the Elite Four were the Elite 7 and they also had Cynthia's Garchomp.
Oh no!
All 7 of them had a Garchomp like that.
Oh, no.
Oh, fuck, dude.
Yeah,
I can
If you played Diamond and Pearl, that reference makes sense.
I can see this going in a very, very specific direction. We got the 7 warlords of the sea, and then we got the 3 gods of the waves, and then we got the single. Well, I don't know, maybe
the king of the pirates,
the ghost of Roger or whatever,
and then the 9-tailed fox.
Yeah, then the 9-tailed fox shows up, and then they're like, "We got to take this battle to the seas of the moon."
No wait.
The Sea of Tranquility, One Piece edition.
The real sea was within you all along.
That is funny.
Sailor Moon One Piece crossover.
Oh no!
Oh no!
I don't want it. I don't want it.
I guarantee you it exists.
Yeah, probably.
It's gotta.
Probably. So, Dracula comes in and absolutely decimates the rest of the Creek pirates, and those poor guys. They just made the wrong decision of who to follow. Rewinding a little bit though, how Luffy and the crew even come across the Barati, I don't think they were actively seeking it. Well, they were seeking food, and they came across this. They don't go there with the intention of Luffy saying like, "I'm gonna hire a cook." They mentioned that they needed a cook, but they didn't go into the restaurant and go, "I'm here to find a cook." It just kind of all was happenstance. Luffy doesn't even decide he wants Sanji to join his crew until after Sanji, I think it was after he saved Jin, or Gin, or whatever, Gin.
I believe you're right.
I said Jin in my mind, but I don't know.
Jin. I'm going to stick with Jin because it's spelled Jin, Gin.
Yeah, me too.
So, anyway,
I like that.
He doesn't even decide that he wants Sanji on his crew until he sees that. Like, at first he thinks Sanji's a dick. Like, he's like, this guy's an asshole. And Usopp and Zoro agree because I don't know if you remember the scene where they're all sitting at the table and then Sanji comes over and is like, to Nami, he's like, "And what can I get you to drink? We have all this great wine and everything." And Zoro and Usopp are like, "Oh yeah, we'll take this." And he's like, "I wasn't talking to you."
That's funny because I actually had that exact panel up just a moment ago. Yeah.
And that's probably one of my favorite things about Sanji is that he is like way sexist against men. Like he hates men. Like you ever see those ads for dogs that are like needs a good home but doesn't like men? That's Sanji. He needs a good home and he doesn't like men.
That's my Chihuahua.
Yeah, I think it's less that he hates men and more that he loves women so much that men are second-class citizens. Which good for him. He's a very progressive character for a 2000 manga.
You know who Sanji reminds me of? Circling back to Pokemon is Brock.
Yeah, he could be considered the Brock of One Piece.
Just a little bit.
The only difference is Brock still treated Ash like a human being.
Sanji
does not treat other men like humans when women are around.
Sanji is way cooler than Brock, and I don't appreciate you saying that.
Fight me about it then.
Look, Sanji smokes cigarettes. Brock never smoked a cigarette. All right? Brock wants to be cool. He needs to start smoking cigarettes.
I was going to say, but if he did smoke cigarettes.
But if he did.
Then he wouldn't be cool.
PSA.
Smoking is bad.
PSA from that time, that one time we read manga, smoking is cool. You should tell your friends.
Absolutely not.
It's no. Look, it's bad for you, but it does make you look kind of cool.
Oh no!
Just 4Kids replace it with a lollipop.
Yeah, 4Kids did replace it with a lollipop, which was very funny because it looked very unnatural. And looking back on those episodes, you can kind of tell where the editors would like miss it because his cigarette's always smoking.
Yep.
So every once in a while in the 4Kids episodes, you would see just like a waft of smoke come off of his cigarette. Like, wait a minute.
That's not right.
Yeah,
he may be onto something, though. Have any of you ever tried melting a lollipop?
No, I don't want pure sugar hardening in my stomach.
Well, yeah, there's this one time I took one and I melted it down in a spoon and put it...
He took one.
Don't say what you're about to say. I know. As soon as you said spoon, you need to stop right there.
And then I put it in my mouth.
It's been a while since I took a lollipop.
I want to circle back to Jin because I thought he was actually a really interesting character. In that he was a very minor character, but still had surprising character development.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for a secondary character who, I mean, I can't even remember, but I'm gonna assume we never see him again. I genuinely don't know if we ever do or not. I can't remember everything, but I'm going to assume we never do. He had a very strong character arc through all of this.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Was like when he was going through the whole change of heart, basically, against Krieg.
Mm-hmm.
That was surprising to me.
I did like that. That was pretty
it,
intense.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of the secondary characters so far up until him have just been pretty black and white. Like they're either a good guy or a bad guy, and the fact that he tiptoed along a gray area was interesting and fun.
I think this arc benefited from a character like Jin in it, just to show that it was kind of a, it was to show how desperate, like, starving out at sea can make you, right? It's so desperate that while everyone else is kicking you and beating you down, you don't care, you'll do anything just for a bite to eat. Then once you do get it, like, he tries to say a couple of times, like, this doesn't change anything, I'm still Don Krieg's first in command or second in command or whatever. But then when it, like, push comes to shove, he does everything in his power to save Sanji and defy Don Krieg. And then at the end of it all, still leaves with Krieg after Luffy beats him up. I mean, it's just a very complex character, Jin is. More complex, I think, than he has any right to be.
Yeah.
As a secondary character.
I agree, which I liked a lot.
Yeah. No, I do agree. I think that was a very necessary character in this arc.
Yeah, I think it's great for the development, like, especially when it comes to bad guys that we'll probably see in the future again. But I kind of mentioned on it last time we talked about One Piece, but, like, I appreciated that it wasn't this, cookie cutter, like, the bad guy has a change of heart type of thing. Like, the bad guy is still the bad guy because he's a piece of shit. Like, yeah, he's just a bad dude.
Yeah,
but somebody significant enough had a change of heart, and maybe that'll pay off in the future. I mean, yeah. I have this feeling that Don Krieg is no longer in charge of his pirate crew. I think it's Jin, but I don't know.
Well, it makes sense because of all the shit Krieg did. And that's the thing. So we had two characters both get saved, quote unquote, by Sanji from starvation. First of all, the rest of his crew never ended up getting their food. They said they needed food for the whole crew. He never fed any of them. I don't think. The rest of the crew is just starving while Krieg and Jin get all the food, and then Krieg starts a fight before he can feed everybody. And that's the thing, though. Jin has a change of heart and is, like, upset that Krieg didn't have a change of heart. Like, hey, these guys saved us. And Krieg, being the military man that he is like, hey, look, why, beg these guys to help us when I could just kill them all, take their food, and we'll be fine. Use this ship to go back to the Grand Line. We have all the food we want. Krieg does not have a change of heart, and I think that was also very interesting that, like John said, someone significant enough like Jin, who's not the main antagonist, but like a henchman of the main antagonist, had a change of heart, but the main antagonist did not pull a shonen, oh, you guys were right all along, I'm a douchebag. Like, Krieg was, no, I'm going to fucking kill all of you. Pretty easily. I mean, like, as soon as he got energy in his system, he was like, yep, all right, I'm going to kill everybody here.
I love the running theme of henchmen just kind of sitting back and watching battles, and they'll be from both sides of the conflict. So there was like all the cooks on one side in the water, and then there was all Don Krieg's henchmen in the water. They like kept putting their gas masks on whenever the gas stuff got used. Or the cooks would dive underwater, and they're just like on opposite sides, basically spectating the fight.
Right, like
so funny.
The whole time they could be fighting each other, but they're all of them are way too engrossed in what the hell is happening.
They're just watching
these gods fight.
That was one of the panels I was thinking with, like, how Luffy starts to make his comeback fighting Don Krieg. Both sides were just yelling. Like all the crew. It's so funny to me. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It wasn't exactly the best use of tactics because, I mean, I feel all the sideliners could have done a lot more to affect the battle. on both sides of the spectrum, but I mean, you know what? You can't really tell a story with 800 people doing something at the same time, I guess.
Right.
That's true. It does add a little bit of comic relief to the pretty serious battles, though.
Oh yeah, I mean, just imagine. I don't know when you think about real time, like real time watching this fight unfold. Like they had to be treading water for quite a while.
Yeah, I didn't consider that, but you're right.
Oh goodness gracious! Yeah, it was kind of a wild fight. Luffy holds his own though. My main question coming into this was, can Luffy handle an opponent who is experienced the Grand Line? And I found my answer being yes, but two things. There's two pretty big like objections to this. One, it was really tough. I mean, like this was the toughest fight I think Luffy's been in yet. Actually, I know for a fact it is. Like, yeah, Krieg is definitely the toughest opponent he's had. But two, Krieg is not a Grand Line opponent. He is a Grand Line dropout. Like he made it to the Grand Line. He got there, which is easy to do. You just have to know where it is and go there. But he couldn't survive in the Grand Line. And I think that kind of demotes Krieg. Not that he's not a tough fight, but you know, everyone's like, oh yeah, Luffy can handle the Grand Line because he beat up Krieg. I'm like, but Krieg couldn't handle the Grand Line. So that doesn't prove anything because Zoro couldn't beat Mihawk. So, I mean, if guys like Mihawk are running around in the Grand Line and chasing off armadas, they're not ready for this. They are nowhere close.
Yeah, and if you consider, like, Krieg wasn't at the level that he was at the Grand Line. Like, him himself, like, yeah, I'm sure he was at that level. But, like, think about it if his 50-ship armada was the opponent during this arc. Like, it stands to reason that, you know, Luffy's crew would have been annihilated at that point. So, like, if we're talking that, like, that even furthers your point to, like, how able are they to actually handle the Grand Line? And at this state, like, it's clearly shown that, like, no, they're not ready yet. And luckily for us, we know that there's a whole bunch of chapters left.
Right.
Very
yeah.
true.
If there was a true cliffhanger of like, oh my god, are they really going to make it to the Grand Line and they're not ready? Like, no, clearly not. But it was just interesting because at first, you know, for the longest time, I was like, oh yeah, this is where Luffy proves that he can handle himself. But then I realized, no, he can't. Well, I mean, he can handle himself, but probably not to the scope that the Grand Line introduces because Krieg was a Grand Line dropout. That's the end of that story.
And
Though,
okay.
No, go ahead.
So my biggest curiosity right now, well, I don't know if it's my biggest, but a pretty big one, is how they bridge that gap. Is it more people, or is there like some sort of like training that goes into it, or is it just a matter of like, yeah, it'll buff. Like, where does that go from here? And that's my curiosity.
Yeah, I think in an attempt to address that curiosity, I should say it's not any training that we see. We will never see an arc or even a chapter dedicated to like Luffy going, oh, I can't beat this guy. Hold on, I have to go train for an hour and then I'll be back to beat you up. Like, we're never gonna see that.
Goku vibes.
But it was
yeah,
exactly, very very Goku-esque activity going on there. But what we're gonna see though is progressively tougher and tougher fights, like we have been seeing. But it's not that each fight has been leaps and bounds ahead of the other. It's been just more difficult enough to be like, okay, I beat up, you know, Buggy relatively easily when you compare it to the fight with Krieg. You know what I mean? Or even Koro. Yeah. Like, he beat up Buggy pretty easily compared to how the fight with Koro went. Then the fight with Koro was actually pretty easy compared to how the fight with Krieg went. And in about, you know, 50 chapters or whatever, however long it takes, the next enemy is going to be like, wow, the Krieg fight was nothing compared to how this guy fights. But it's going to be the next big fight. And I think instead of showing training arcs and training montages, we're going to get just slightly progressively more tough fights as we go.
We definitely got the canonical basically we were told by Chef Zeph, like, hey, this guy's gonna make it. And it was pretty pounded in that, like, he'll be able to do it. It's just he's got to face some, like you said, he's going to face some little tougher opponents first.
Yeah, exactly. Zeph, who, by all accounts, was a success in the Grand Line, at least, getting there and looting and all this stuff. Back in his day, now it could be very different nowadays, but yeah, he gives Luffy basically the nod of approval. And Sanji the nod of approval, which, yeah, I agree with you, Nate. We know they're going to get there, but we have to see some struggle. It's going to be a struggle, no matter what.
Right. And that brings up two thoughts in my mind. The first one being that it seems like Luffy is very aware that he can't do it by himself, and that's why he's building his crew. And as he builds his crew, he's trying to leverage their abilities to make him more successful as captain and achieve his goal to go to the Grand Line, which I'm sure eventually we'll get there. There's so many chapters. We have to at some point.
Could you imagine if we spent 1,000 chapters just in the East Blue?
That'd be something else. And the second thing being that it seems like Luffy is just very adaptable in battle. He'll just come up with shit on the fly. As long as it works, that's really all that matters.
Oh yeah, there is no code of honor fighting with Luffy. You guys they're pirates, so it's anything goes, literally. There is no rules, or Luffy doesn't have a code of like, no, I can't use that. It's against my code. I can't kill him. Oh no. Luffy doesn't give a fuck. If you stand in his way or hurt his friends, you're done. Like, Luffy will do everything in his power to kill you.
Has Luffy killed anybody yet?
No. I
didn't think so.
No. But it's hard to imagine Kuro isn't dead. From the brain damage that the gum concussion gave him.
That's very true.
Like, he didn't die on screen, but that motherfucker, he rang his bell hard.
Yeah, but I think, I think I don't know if he'll make another appearance in the future, but I think that there has been a notable artist effort to make sure that nobody has died by Luffy's hands, and I don't know if that's going to continue, but I think that it's been deliberate enough that nobody has actually died from Luffy.
And keep in mind too, like, this is a publication made in a weekly public magazine, so they can't have their, and maybe I'm wrong, but like, this is definitely coming out in the era of like, we can't have our good guys killing people. That's insane. You can beat them up and send them flying or whatever, but at this time, you remember these arcs were coming out in like the late 90s, early 2000s. So
that's true.
That was a time where it's like, we have to make this. It's not a kid show. It's kind of a kid show, but we can't have our good guys killing people on screen. So any deaths that happen as a result of the protagonist beating someone up can only be inferred to. So, like, again, Kuro with his mega concussion, Buggy, who doesn't have a torso. Like, he's not dead. We've seen the artwork of him running around having adventures, but, like, how long is he going to survive? He doesn't have a torso.
I love the adventures of Buggy. Those are hilarious.
There was one of the adventures with Buggy where it was just his torso kicking somebody's ass.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Oh, man. Yeah, Buggy's a fun character.
It's so nice and refreshing that they keep that character alive because it's just so ridiculous.
Yeah. I do feel like a broken record. I just realized this. Like, we were thinking about Buggy. I remember during the Buggy episode, I said this is one of my favorite characters, and then in this arc alone, I have two of my favorite characters. And I feel bad, but I also am like, there's a lot of good characters in this show. There's a lot of good characters, and I can't keep my love to just like a single favorite. They're all over the place. Which actually, I did want to pose the question. So far, After this arc, does anyone have any favorite character changes?
Nope. Still Nami.
All right. Well, you're a bag of ass.
All right, but if I had to make it a close second, I guess I would say Zoro. And I don't know if I've said that yet, but I mean, I think that his arc excited me the most in this. Like, to see where he's going to go with this. Because, I mean, I'm a fan of the more, like, gritty, gory type of stuff. And yeah, Luffy is a very gritty individual, but he's also the main protagonist. So, like, I'm less concerned with him winning battles.
Yeah.
Like, I'm more concerned with Zoro winning battles and where he goes from here.
And you know where Zoro's going to go from here. He promised he's never going to lose again.
We'll see.
That's a big
He
promise.
promised. It's a big promise. We'll see if he can.
He's also down to one sword now, isn't he? Because he lost the two swords in his battle with what's his face, the bird guy.
So maybe he has to beat somebody to. Yeah. I think I remember that.
I remember he lost his swords back when they were picking up Usopp.
Maybe it was that. I don't remember. I know he's just down to one sword now, though. Pretty sure.
I don't think so.
Mihawk.
We'll figure it out.
Mihawk is
Yeah,
what I'm thinking of.
Did Mihawk break his other swords?
That's what I
I
thought.
don't remember.
I wrote it down. Maybe I'm wrong.
I'll look it up as we're answering this question.
Well, either way.
I think I
Nate,
still
do you
like Luffy. I mean, I know it's so easy to do that, but those are the fights that I'm just like, I'm having a lot of fun with this. One notable time during the battle was, I really did think that Luffy was just out for the count for a moment after he did his first Gum Gum Bazooka. And then I'm like, oh, he's fallen. He can't possibly. Nope, here comes another Gum Gum Bazooka. He's just falling down, like, looks like he's definitely out. And then he does, after that, the Gum Gum Gavel. I'm like, man, this is. I keep turning the page because I just want to know how he's going to do next.
Yeah. He's an exciting character. I'm not going to fault you at all for picking the protagonist as a character you enjoy. Like, that's the guy we're all supposed to be rooting for. There's nothing wrong with that. And again, he's an entertaining one. He's not a generic character by any means. At least I don't think so.
I think that's really fair. And obviously, like, we kind of game in the game, but, like, the understanding that Luffy's probably not going to die at some point. But I think there is tension when it comes to, like, if Luffy goes down for the count, like, because at that point, who takes over? I'm sure at some point, Luffy's not going to be the one that saves the day. And
obviously, Usopp.
There's some gravity. Yeah, Usopp.
No,
yeah.
I would rather not.
Yeah, me too.
Woof.
Oof, I know.
Big
no,
oof.
that's not fair. I do enjoy Usopp more, but as far as leading a crew goes, I would not trust Usopp to do it. It would go Zoro, then, well, based on who we have now, it would go Zoro, Usopp, then Sanji, because that's just the order they've joined. The dynamic isn't exactly set yet. There's a little bit too much going on to really worry about that kind of stuff right now. Zoro got his chest slashed open pretty bad. Nami takes off with the ship. Sanji's still reeling from, like, leaving his father figure who saved his life. And Usopp is Usopp. He has a slingshot.
Usopp.
He has a slingshot. I mean, and then the two bounty bros are there, and I just don't care about them. Talk about secondary characters that don't need an arc ever.
I didn't answer your question. I like Sanji.
Oh yeah,
a lot.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
I think he's a cool character. I like that he says crap, whatever.
Yeah, crap old man.
Crap old man, crap chef, crap whatever. I think that's pretty funny, and his character design is pretty cool. And I like it that he just like kicks the shit out of people because, the chefs don't want to damage their hands, otherwise they can't cook.
That was one of my favorite things about Sanji, was that he never fights with his hands, because if he hurts his hands, then he can't cook. And I'm like, that is one of those details that when you first see it, you're kind of like,
Okay.
okay. But at some point, the artist, Oda, is going to draw him using his hands.
Yeah, and it's going to be like, oh, we used his hands. It's a big deal now.
Yeah, exactly. But at so far, no hands. Hands in pocket more than anything.
Yeah, which I respect. Hands in pockets are cool.
Hands in pockets are cool. You smoke and you put your hands in your pockets and you wear a suit all the time.
He's basically a lance corporal.
Dude, he's cool as fuck. That makes him cool as fuck. Oh boy, we're kind of jumping all over the arcs, but I like doing the episodes this way. Like I realized early on I didn't like just going through like, and then this happened. What do you think? And then this happened. What do you think? So I like that we're jumping around and just getting our ideas out there. Right?
Yeah.
I want to go back to Krieg here for a second. They say in the manga he's an admiral, meaning he leads an armada. Not that he's a Navy admiral, but that he is in charge of an armada of over 50 ships. But we never really see that scope. So are the rest of his ships destroyed and his crew dead? Or are they waiting for him? Or, this is something that occurred to me, is he lying? Like, he has the reputation. Clearly, he has the reputation of being this ruthless leader who's a war-loving or warmonger or whatever. But, like, we never actually see all of his armada. And again, it would be impractical to draw them all. And it's easier to say that they're either killed or waiting. But part of my brain, for some reason, was just like, dude, what if he doesn't have an armada? That's why he got so fucked up in the Grand Line, is because he let his reputation precede him into the Grand Line, and that's why Mihawk's even mad at him, to humble him, you know?
Right.
I don't know. I wouldn't put it past him, though. Like, this dude is a dick. By all accounts, Don Krieg is a dick.
You know, your statement actually gives me some thought into the fact that we haven't really seen a proper naval battle yet. Everything has pretty much been on land or kind of like platforms on the water that simulate land battles. And
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that we get some ship-on-ship action at some point.
That's a really interesting thought there. I haven't actually even considered a proper naval battle
Yeah.
in all of this.
It's funny because until you said it, neither have I. Because, like, when we saw the
Well, there we go. Spoiler.
Oh, great.
What are you talking about? No, it just never dawned on me that, like, oh yeah, they could be doing that. But then I think about it again and remembering what the Mary looks like. I didn't see any cannons on the Mary.
I'm pretty sure it has cannons.
Does it? I genuinely don't know.
I'm gonna look it up.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I could-
maybe
yeah,
he'll
alright,
just bounce
tell me.
back the buggy ball.
Well, that's the thing too. Like, yeah, cannons can still be shot at him. Luffy is a cannon of his own right. Yeah, I don't know. Don Krieg is, but again, Don Krieg's such a dick. I wouldn't put it past him to just be like inflating his own numbers and, you know, again, letting his reputation do all the talking for him. I could be wrong. Like, I could just be reading too far into it. But now, ever since John pointed out that, like, you know, Captain Morgan and Kuro and all of them were connected, now I'm just, like, trying to read between the lines on everything.
Hey.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
so
now he's got-
it definitely
he's got
has
that one.
at least one cannon that sticks straight out of the bow.
Oh, that's useful.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, if they're ever
I mean,
chasing something.
Yeah, it kind of does
Wait a
make
minute.
sense.
Oh my god, I'm such a fucking idiot. That's how Luffy gets in trouble with the Barati and all. Is he's
Yeah.
doing cannon practice with Usopp.
Yeah, he shoots it at the
Oh,
rock.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm an idiot. I forgot all about that. Yeah, he was doing cannon practice with Usopp and he hit the fucking Barati.
Exactly.
Oh Jesus. Okay, I'm tired, guys, and it's been a hell of a week since reading this. So forgive me. I led us all astray.
Yeah,
I've had fun.
I actually that completely I forgot about that too. That's why he has to work it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They accidentally find Barati. He doesn't go there looking for anything.
That's so funny.
But they were hungry, so
I mean, they were hungry, but they're always hungry. Luffy's very one-track, like, super hungry. Though, if memory recalls, that little, like, character thing where it's, like, every other moment Luffy's just asking for food, I think that actually starts to quell a little bit now that Sanji's on board, because it's whenever Luffy's hungry, Sanji makes something. So it's less, we're going to get less Luffy just complaining that he's hungry all the time, which early readings, I have to admit, sometimes I was like, yeah, dude, we get it. You're funny. You're hungry. Who cares?
I just realized something. Is he always hungry because his stomach's made out of rubber and he can't feel full?
Yes.
Whoa.
I'm pretty sure yes.
Oh,
That's
shit.
crazy.
That makes sense, though.
It makes all the sense in the world. There are moments that I don't think these are spoilers, that you will see Luffy eating to the point where he gets, when he blows himself up the bounce back stuff.
Like gum balloon or whatever.
Yeah, he gets that big just from eating.
Wow.
Like, you will see that happen. It's very disturbing. But yeah, everything's made of rubber, so yeah, his stomach is just ever expanding.
It's a good thing he has a rubber anus.
Well, yeah. I didn't need to hear that today.
Very convenient poops.
Yeah, rubber colon, everything. But that's the thing. All his organs are made of rubber, so the fact that his stomach is ever expanding is not really a problem for him.
Which brings me back to something I wanted to mention earlier, and then we kind of moved on. But this is one criticism that I might have. So if Luffy's body is entirely made of rubber, theoretically, all right, I get that.
Not theoretically, it literally is.
That furthers my point. So I get that he can get cut. Rubber can get cut. Makes sense. But why is it possible for him to get trapped in things? Like, he got trapped in that little bird cage or, I don't know, like, prisoner cell thing the one time. And then he got trapped in the fish net. Now, although he did turn that into an attack by getting his foot out. But why can he not just, I don't know, rubberize his way out of something?
So the way I look at it is he's not like Mr. Fantastic made of rubber. Mr. Fantastic always felt more like a liquidy type of rubber.
Okay.
Luffy, in my opinion, is like solid rubber, like a rubber band. So I don't know. I mean, it's a good point. I'm not going to discredit it because, admittedly, I have no idea. But I can say I never see Luffy like stretch himself through things because he still has all his pain sensors, remember, too. So yeah, he's made of rubber. That doesn't make much sense either, because he gets hurt all the time and he's like, I didn't feel it, so maybe it's not that.
To me, I've never seen him make his rubber, like when he stretches, it's never been smaller. It's always expanding. So I think he can't escape these things because he can't like shrink any.
He can't change his size.
Which, I mean, I guess we're just kind of, I guess I'm looking a little too far into it, but I mean, that's kind of how rubber works. You stretch it, it shrinks as far as like, the workable area goes. It does the same thing with a rubber band, but that's not a harsh criticism. I just think it's humorous. Because, I mean, if you can do all these things, but also, like, I have noticed, at least so far, that he only ever stretches his appendages. Like,
that's the easiest to illustrate.
I guess so, yeah. I don't know. Maybe he expands his torso at some point. But, I mean, he never, like, expands his head or anything. That'd be weird for the brain.
I was going to say, yeah, he never grabs the top of his head, but he does stretch his neck when he headbutts Kuro.
Okay, yeah. I don't know. That's just a thought. I mean, I guess that would make him a little bit too overpowered.
I was going to say, there has to be some kind of limitation, because, yeah, rubber's a great, power for a protagonist to have, but you have to incorporate some kind of limitations to it, otherwise there's even less conflict than what we're seeing. Like, every once in a while, it doesn't feel like there's a ton of conflict, and then, a limitation is introduced, and we're like, oh, there's the conflict. But yeah, I think it's just a matter of like, you have to understand that he can't be all powerful. He can't do everything.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet, yeah. But I think Nate's right. Like, we see him stretch, but his arm doesn't get smaller when he stretches. It stays the exact same size. The only time we see him change his size is when he does the gum gum balloon thing. And he buffs, and he inhales so much air because his lungs are made of rubber, too. So he can infinitely inhale.
And to that, I haven't seen him collapse either. Like, if he's, like, ducking from something, I've never seen him, like, rubberize his neck into his chest.
Oh, that would be funny.
Yeah, he never turtles.
That would be a funny scene.
And I think the thing is, too, he still has bones. Like, yeah, they're made of rubber, but they're still there. He has a skeletal structure. Whereas, like, Mr. Fantastic being made of rubber from the Fantastic Four, he, like I said, he's always felt more of, like, a fluid, liquidy type of rubber where he could just do whatever.
Yeah, more of like a non-Newtonian fluid that actually kind of follows some laws of physics. Whereas
I was wondering when the engineer would come into this.
Luffy doesn't really follow Poisson's ratio or any really real mechanical properties.
Nerd! I'm just kidding.
Finally the enginer shows up.
That's my
All
spiel.
right.
That's my spiel. I'm done.
Well, the problem is I don't know what any of that means, so explain yourself.
Poisson's ratio is basically...
Keep it in English. Keep it in English.
It's a unitless measurement of the deformation of an object between the axial and the lateral transformation.
Right. I'm lost.
Anyways, Luffy also kind of strikes me as the type of person that if he gets captured, he's just going to stay where he is because of honor or whatever. Because he's like, okay, well, I lost, so here I am.
Honestly, he might just be too stupid.
I was just saying, I think it's less about honor and more of just like, if I sit here, it'll work out. Well, I think we determined that is like when he was in the cage and Buggy was going to blow his head off, he was like really not that worried about it. Like he was worried, but he was kind of like, I can handle this. Like explosions would still hurt rubber. Rubber can be blown up, but he was more just like, it'll work out.
Everything can be blown up.
A lot of trust in the people around him to get him out of the situation. Everything can be blown up.
That's the American way.
America!
I was saving this. I was saving this till the end, and we're coming up on time here.
Are we?
Almost. Nami really, really sucks. I really don't like Nami after this. And everything I've said before it has just been validated. And what pissed me off even more is that she's sailing away with the ship, the treasure, everything. And then she's like, I'm so sorry. Like, she's crying to herself about it. And I have here in my notes, and I'm like, she seems sad, question mark. Another little note, who cares, you still suck. That's my feelings of Nami.
I want to point out, though, in the beginning when Nami was first introduced, Tim, you literally said, you know what? Being older, I think I can respect her more as a character. And now you're back as, I fucking
said that,
hate her.
but
Fucker.
I said that without having read this part, and then I read this part, and I went, fuck you.
I honestly, I was totally, I was duped. I was like, you know what? She's really starting to like this crew. And then I was like, nope, she's gone.
Yep, she's a thief and a bastard.
All things considered, I mean, I don't know what she would have done to help out in this arc. I did, having faith in Nami, but I did think that they were going to come back and kind of, I don't know, like, do something useful. So it was kind of disappointing to see that didn't happen, but she's a Straw Hat pirate, damn it, so she'll be back.
I sure hope not.
We'll see her again because they have to get the ship back, but we'll see if it's on good terms or not.
Nah, it'll be good. Luffy will just forget.
I don't know. I think she'll try and pull the sad thing, but Zoro won't. If anything, Zoro won't let her off the hook.
Sanji will, though.
Well, Sanji doesn't have a hook to put her on. Let's put it that way.
Oh my god.
Zoro will not let her off the hook. It's actually kind of funny. After this, we really start to see, or even during this, we see how like deathly loyal Zoro is to Luffy. And a lot can be said like, oh, there hasn't been that many adventures, but you have to remember like in between, chapters or sailing. They spend a lot of time together, so there's probably been some off-screen growth that we haven't exactly seen between Luffy and Zoro. But like Zoro being able to stand up to Mihawk for even a minute, just because he's like, oh yeah, Luffy's gonna be king of the pirates, and I'm gonna be the best swordsman in the world next to him. And then he loses, and he's like, I'm so ashamed. I wouldn't. He's like, I get it if you want to kick me off your crew. Like, that's how just deathly loyal this guy is. So I feel like when they meet Nami, Luffy might be able to forgive her, but Zoro is gonna immediately just be like, nah, dude, that's a bad move.
He probably will say that, but I believe in the power of forgiveness and friendship. So Nami will be back.
I don't know.
I hope not.
I don't know. I hope not. I hope it sinks while she's on it, and they just wound up on a new ship.
Oh, I like the merry-go. I like the ship designs just in general, especially the restaurant. It's the giant fish in the bow. That's hilarious.
Yes, that was very good. I did enjoy that.
I'm a big fan of the fish ship.
The fish ship. Yeah, we'll start our own restaurant. We'll shape it like a puffer fish.
Fish ship.
Fish chip. Fish and chips.
Fish and chips. No, we only serve puffer fish and water. I made that abundantly clear.
Yeah, and pufferfish themed cocktails.
Yeah, with just all the poison that we didn't cut into the meat, we pour in the cocktail.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
If you dilute it with alcohol, which is also poison, it should be fine.
Yeah,
it's
two negatives make a positive, right?
It's like putting sulfuric acid in sulfuric acid.
Just get
negates
more
the whole thing.
sulfuric acid.
Yeah. Oh boy. So, all right, boys. Hey, what about closing thoughts from? We'll go around the room, starting with Duncan.
I liked the ship design, and I liked the character developments. The fight scenes were really cool, and I'm curious to see if we're gonna get the Going Merry back.
I was going to say that was going to be I'm going to ask a little bit of a question on your final thoughts. What do you hope to see next?
Yeah, basically just that. I want the ship to get back because I like that
You
ship.
just want the ship. You don't care who's on it. You just want the ship back.
Nah, I don't really give a shit about Nami or anything. Just want the ship back.
All right, John. What's your closing thoughts? Closing thoughts, and what do you hope to see happen next?
Yeah, sure thing. So, man, I really don't want to sound like a broken record over and over again, but like I really enjoyed this arc in general. In particular, I enjoyed the character development with Jin and the fighting. And I know I said that I really enjoyed the Zoro fight the most, but I mean, there was between Luffy and Don Krieg, like there was never a point where I got bored or thought that it was going too long or anything. Like there was always some new twist to it, and I really, really enjoyed that. I can't really think of any bads on that, but as far as like what I want to see next, I think I agree with Duncan. I do want to see like what happens when they get their ship back. I don't quite think we're at the point where they can make any efforts to go towards the Grand Line, so I do want to see who the next crewmate is. And I don't know if there are any more, but I want to see who the next one is, because honestly, I can't think of what they need to fill now except a a nuclear physicist?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They gotta have one of those.
Gotta have one of those.
Have to.
Okay. Well, very good. All right, Nate, closing thoughts, and what do you hope to see next?
Closing thoughts are, I really like how Oda's facial expressions have been amazing, especially with Chef Patty's face was amazing all the time.
Oh my god, yeah. We could have gone another hour if we talked about Chef Patty and the other guy. Those two are fucking hilarious.
Carne and Patty.
Yeah.
Great names, too.
And I really like the Monster Hunter-esque style that, like, Don Krieg's spear and shield. Like, could be like modified to be explosive. I'm like, man, I love this. Weapons are fun.
Yes.
But what I hope to see is, I agree. I just want to see the ship back. I think that's what I'm stuck with.
Okay.
I just want to see that back.
That is fair. Yeah, and my final thoughts would be this little arc. Definitely, like I said, I was so excited that we got introduced to so many things. I may have spoiled the 7 Warlords of the Sea. I think that's coming up the next couple of chapters, but just all you need to know of them right now is that Draco Mihawk is one of them, and they're a big deal. So it's going to be fun. Next time when we tackle One Piece, we are going to read 2 arcs in one. One of them's a full arc, and the other one's like a mini arc. It would be considered filler if it wasn't in a manga. Like it has filler episodes in the anime, but because it's a manga, it's canon, and therefore we have to read it. So we'll be reading the Arlong Park arc, which is chapters 69 through 95.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
And then the Logue Town arc. I can never pronounce this town. It's Logue town.
Logue.
Sounds like Logue to me.
Logue Town? Yeah, the Logue Town arc, which is only 5 chapters, 96 to 100. So altogether, we're going to read 69
Nice.
to
Nice.
69 to 100. And we'll talk all about it. And there's going to be... I'm so excited for that. That's where shit's really going to start cracking open.
I thought it was already open.
Oh, it's... Guys, we're going to hit triple digits by the time we're done with this. We're gonna be finally done with our first 100 chapters of One Piece. How awesome
And
is
eventually, we'll be in quadruple digits.
Oh.
that? Someday. Someday.
5 years from now.
Yeah, we'll keep it. We'll just be excited about triple digits for now. I am excited, though. I'm excited that we're finally going to crack into the 100s, which, without going too much further than that, it's going to be fun.
I mean, I'm sold. I'm having a great time with One Piece.
That's good. Yeah,
I am.
I'm glad you guys.
Can't wait to see the Grand Line eventually.
Oh, my God.
Hopefully.
Someday. Maybe in chapter 2000. We'll get
I don't think he gets.
Oh no! Don't say that. I hate that sentence.
I had to get one on you. That'd be great. There's not even that many chapters out. All right. Any last things, gentlemen? Otherwise, I'm going to close this out.
I have one thing. I just wanted everybody to know that as we come nearer to the next presidential election, I've received an email just recently about donating to a certain campaign, which I won't disclose, but I have to say that the donation intervals are pretty ridiculous. They start at $24, then they go to $47, then $75, $100, and $250.
I don't know
I can't
what
afford
has
that.
to do with anything.
I just wanted everybody to know.
All right. Well, I'm glad you wasted.
Don't donate to
minute of-
campaigns.
I'm so glad you wasted a minute of our lives to do that. All right, everyone. Hey, thank you all so much for joining us, gentlemen. Thank you for joining me and continuing this adventure.
It's not just One Piece. It's Fun Piece.
It's Fun Piece. Hey, there it is. All right.
Go out and vote at your local elections.
Stop.
But don't donate.
Don't donate. Just vote.
It's a scam.
Voting's good enough. Stop donating. All right, everyone. Hey, thank you all so much for joining that One Time We Read Manga podcast. We will see you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.